Today we have a full face new product from the OG drugstore J-Beauty brand, Canmake. I have been loving this brand for so long and it's always so affordable and giving you so much great options with good quality, especially if you consider the price. I again love this brand for years. I have had this set of makeup that I want to try for a long time. There's like some points campaign happening right now, so I bought all the products that I wanted to try from them for a long time. And there's a lot of product to try, so let's just get started. Let's start from lips. They have this little jar of lip mask looking very cute. I heard that a long time ago they had like a lip treatment in a tube and a lot of people loved it, and I always wanted to try that, but that one has been discontinued for a long time. So this is a great product to try in my opinion. It gave you a little, how to say this, like a lid, inner lid, and there's a spatula inside, and that's very good. I think this type of lip balm, lip mask thing need to give you something like this. Like a very soft. It's nice and thick and melty, and that's what I like. But let's see how this perform during the video. Let me blend this a little bit. And it's like very shiny. I actually already have sunscreen and foundation on. For sunscreen, they actually have a sunscreen called something Mermaid, and I actually really like it. They also have multiple shades. This year I was focusing on trying Korean sunscreen, so I didn't repurchase it. But I really like that one. That one just had a little bit of white cast, so if you are pretty dark skinned, I don't know if that one will leave a cast on you or not. But for me, I was okay because the cast did go away after a certain amount of time. I really like that one. And I think I used up like probably 3 or 4 or something. And for foundations, I believe they do carry like BB creams and stuff like that, but I just don't think there was one that's my shade, so I didn't buy any foundation. I did buy a concealer palette. This concealer, it's pretty, I think it's like a OG product in Canmake's line. Have SPF 50 plus, PA 4 pluses. So I feel like typically you don't get that high of a SPF number on a concealer. You probably normally get something like 15, 20 or at the best 30. It's really very high, which I guess is good, but I just don't know if I'm gonna use it enough to get that protection. And they also give you this little brush with a little sponge. I think this is for spot concealing, and this one you can use in a larger area for blending. And I think today we're gonna try to use this. And they also have a small little mirror, so I think even though this is a very small palette, it's very well designed. They also have this little space for you to mix stuff. And let me swatch first. Here is the shade. I think the middle shade is my skin tone, and I can just adjust with the other 2 shades, which is good. Do I try to use this little mirror? Let's try. I think this is not for you to actually do makeup, this is for you on the go. And I want to mix a little bit of this orange with this middle shade to cover up a little bit of the discoloration on this part of my skin. I always had discoloration on this area. I still have to use the big mirror to see how it actually blended. Oh, it's actually blending very nicely. I should have bring you closer earlier, but this part is blending pretty smoothly and it's a very good coverage actually. So maybe let's use the center shade, blend with a little bit of this lighter shade, and I want to cover up around my nose. Actually, this texture is way more creamy than I thought. This is almost like a cream foundation level of creaminess. I now can understand why people love this, and I see a lot of makeup artists, well, a lot of one makeup artist, Pony on YouTube, uses a lot in her videos. At least when I was like following her video very closely. I recently don't really watch that much of her videos because she speaks Korean, and I just want to watch videos that I can understand without reading the subtitle. So right now I don't really watch her video that much anymore, but yeah, I remember her using this concealer a lot. And yeah, it's very creamy. I don't think this is like a full coverage or anything, but I think it's at least like a medium coverage. Pretty easy to blend. I could even just blend with this little brush. And let me cover this size discoloration as well. Like, it's literally melting in the palette. It's very creamy. I'm not saying it's like hydrating or anything, but it's not like a very hard texture, because with a lot of these concealers in a palette, my impression is just they are so hard and it's like very hard to blend. These little concealer palettes are actually really popular or like widely used by normal people in Asia, because you can easily customize your own color. You can do it very precisely. In Asia, people don't really do it like the Western way to like swipe concealers. Like this way. This way is actually more common, I would say. I was thinking, do I use this as eyeshadow base, but I decided to not, because I don't want to have something weird happen to my eyeshadow and I don't know what's causing it, right? Marshmallow finishing powder in the shade Abloom, and it's this type of multicolored powder, which actually I don't really understand these type of colors. Just mix it, like already mix it, like when you put it in the pan. Why separate it? I know, I understand the visual effect of it, but I'm just thinking with the customer perspective inside, not with the marketing inside. So as a customer, why don't we want this to be blended? Why do we want it to be like this? I don't really understand. I guess it could be because, you know, you clearly know what type of pigments you are getting in this. But for me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter what pigments are in it. And also, I'm not a professional. I'm just a normal people doing my makeup. So I don't know what this color range means for me. Because, oh, you can say, oh, there's purple in it, so they must be canceling yellow. But there's also yellow in here. So aren't they just canceling each other's out and just mixing like in a skin color or white anyways, right? Like so as customer, why are we buying this idea? I guess because it's pretty. I don't know. It's like always so funny and hard to understand for me at the same time when I see this type of powder. And they have a loose powder as well, but when I was shopping at their little section at the store, I didn't see the loose powder one. Oh, it's pretty smoothing. It's a great powder. And they even give us a little puff. I think I'm gonna set this part of my face with a puff. Okay, and I think it has some brightening effect. I think you can tell, like, this part is severely darker than this part. Let's use this little puff. It's actually pretty soft. It's just like very thin. It's not those like big type of powder puff. Again, with this type of powder, if you just take your powder like this, isn't it just like uneven? So I was like doing this to make sure it's even. So I just don't know why us customer actively want this for us. The puff is working pretty well. Leaving this part a little bit like free from this powder because I want to use a cream blush, but it's not that much of a cream. It's like a very hard cream, so I guess a little bit powder could be okay. I really like this powder, apart from it to be a little bit brightening. But let's do our eyebrow first. And we have the shade 03. I think this is a great shade for black hair. They have several shades, and I think if you have other undertone on your hair, in your hair, like your hair is like more warm tone, more reddish, I think you can find your color as well. And I'm just gonna use their little brush. I feel like a lot of times when I see Western people, why does it sound so weird? But you know, people from Western countries on YouTube reviewing makeup, always saying these little type of tools are like useless. Well, sometimes they are if they are poorly designed, but sometimes they are actually useful. Like at least a lot of Japanese makeup, I actually find their little tools in their palettes useful. Like actually. Yeah, like the handle is short or something, but it works. So if I'm traveling or something, I think I could get away with not bringing an additional brush. I can just take this little compact, because this side is pretty precise, and this side is like dense but fluffy, so it can blend the edge, which that's enough for like traveling or on the go or stuff, right? Of course, at home I'm gonna try to use my own. I'm not saying this little tool is like the best thing, but it works at least. And this side I'm gonna use my own tool. For eyebrow powders, I always find that I need to use it a couple times to know the texture, like how much product I should take initially. Because for my addiction eyebrow powder, I've been using that probably 5 years, so I precisely know how much product, like how many taps, how much pressure I use to take the powder on the brush. But with a new eyebrow powder, everything I don't know its personality, so I need a couple times to get the hang of it. But I guess this is okay. I actually have heard good thing about Canmake's eyebrow powder for years at this point, so I think it works okay. With eyes, I actually have a lot of stuff. This little palette actually has 8 shades in it, and it's like a more of a satiny matte type of formula, but it's like mostly looking matte on your skin, and I really like Canmake's matte formula. My favorite from them is this one, and I'm basically heating pan on every single shade, and it's like a huge pan. So I bought this one. I think first they came out a couple shades with like shimmers and glitter stuff, and this is what they have recently came out. And I know the color don't look that different on the camera, but I think the undertones are different enough for it to make sense to have this many shades. Actually, these are just the shades I use on a daily basis. There's this little applicator which we will not use. I think those applicators works nice on shimmer or glitters, but I don't think they work that well on like a matte eyeshadow. I also have this one. This is called Namida Bukuro in Japanese, and it's called Aegyoso in Korean. I don't speak Korean, so I don't know if my pronunciation is anywhere near the actual authentic pronunciation, but I think you know what I mean. It's like this fat pad under your eyes, like especially when you laugh, like, you know, this little piece of fat under your eye is called Namida Bukuro, and this is a palette specifically for enhancing your Namida Buklo, which is actually directly translated to tear bag. Because I want to use this as well, I want it to be like cooperating. I think maybe we want to go like more of the pinkier route. So I think I want to these two shades. I think this is the formula I know from that palette I have multiple pans in. It's sheer, but it's beautiful. But even though it's beautiful, it does not mean that you can do a cut crease with this. Basically, the level of pigmentation as if you use your bronzer on your eyes. It's that type of vibe. East Asian people especially like this type of look. So I don't know if you can tell. It doesn't feel like there's anything on your eyelid. Not saying like Western eyeshadows are heavy on your eyelid, but I just want to say it feels like something, like a layer of powder. This is like such a lightweight powder. It basically looks like your eyelids just being tinted. That's the level of like lightweightness. I'm just making up words. But I think you understand what I mean. It's like lip tint that just tints your lips without any other texture added. It's like that type of vibe. And I actually really like this type of, and that's why my other palettes are all heating pan. And also I guess that's because they don't give you that much of product. And I actually think it's perfect because I really don't need that much of like eyeshadows, like 10 grams eyeshadows. I might giving this to my granddaughter or something. Why do I need like a 10 gram of eyeshadow palette, right? Okay, and I want to just darken it a little bit with this shade. There's none of the shades like too dark. It's just a little bit darker. And I think this is a very great basic palette, but it's like on the pinkier side, which I recently actually prefer. Now I just want to try to draw my Namida Buklo. And I'm gonna use this darker shade, carve out the shape. Start here. Every time I try to do this with other eyeshadows, I just ended up looking like I have dark circles. So this time I purposefully bought this palette for this exact purpose, to see can I actually do this, or is this just not my type of look. They actually have instruction. It's the shadow. The matte is like to bring the fat pad under your eye forward, so make it more plump. And I think this is a shimmer shade for the same purpose. It's just for your preference, and if you like, you can layer this glitter on top. So I think I'm just gonna try to use this matte shade because I think I don't really look that good with very shimmery Namida Buklo. I actually forgot I have another thing for this Namida Buklo. It's a concealer pen. It's their eye bags concealer, so you already know what it's for. It's basically the same thing. It's just like a concealer formula to highlight this fatty pad under your eyes. I feel like it actually looks like those Namida Buklo type of makeup. I think this is the first time I'm actually getting this type of like effect. Every time I do this, it looks like eye bag. So I guess I just didn't have the right product. I still don't know if this type of makeup is for me or not, but it's fun. It's fun. I was never able to do this. And this concealer pen is actually pretty nice. Do you hear this? Like, it's the type of like clicky pen. You can turn it back. It's like a pretty sheer, so I don't think this is designed for covering your pimples at all. So yeah, I actually really like this. I don't know how often I'm gonna do this makeup because my Namida Buklo is already pretty big, like naturally, especially when I just smile, it's like pretty big. So I normally don't really emphasize it, but it's nice to know that I can actually do this just with the right product. And I'm now going back to the palette using that matte shade to emphasize this just a tiny bit more. And I also want to use the shimmer, like the shimmer one here as well. The shimmer one is not that shimmery at all. It's just like more of a skin finish than the matte one. Actually, I don't really hate it. It's just not used to seeing myself with this type of makeup, but it's nice. Always curl my eyelash before I put any glitters on. Use this little glitter. I don't want to use it on my eye bag area, so just the top of the lid. Oh, it's actually very, very reflective. I wasn't expecting this. Let's use the shimmer shade as a base and then layer a little bit more because I like to have like a blended type of look. So at the center is the most reflective and it like has like a fade into the matte shades. So this side, let's put the shimmery shade down first and then the glitter. It's really nice. This little shadow shade, you can just use it all over your eyelid. If this is the only palette in my hand, I for sure will just use it to complete my whole look. Okay, this is a success. 2 eyeliners. This is their Creamy Touch liner. I have shades 09 and 15. These are basically very creamy gel eyeliners. This is as well those type of clicky pen that once you're turn it out, you can't retract it back. And these are so creamy. Like they are very creamy and they have so many shades. And today I bought these 2 shades to go with the look. 09. This is more of like a pale wine shade, like basically just a rosy shade, I guess. And I just want to run this on the lash line a tiny little bit and draw a wing with it. Oh, I forgot how easy these are to draw wings. I like this type of like shade that it's not super colorful, but it has some nuance to it. And Canmake does this type of shades a lot. And now it's 15. This one is like paler. It's more of like a pinkish nude color, which I think is gonna be more natural. I think I have the liquid version of this. This is like very, very natural. But in daily life, I actually really like this type of color. And you can even see I can use this on my lower lash line without it looking too much. And I'm gonna match the color of the wing by layering this other shade on top. I think that's kind of matching. Nobody will see this. And for mascara, why did I say it weird, like mascara? But mascara is this quick lash curler. I have been using this for years. I probably ran out of like more than 10 tubes. And this is a fresh tube. It's like this comb type, which is actually pretty popular in Japan. A lot of brands do this type of comb mascaras. It's basically just gonna make your eyelash more doll-like, long and spiky. It's not very voluminous. But I really like this mascara because it's not clumpy and it doesn't really smudge with my extremely oily eyelids. Do you see the difference? It just enhances your eyelash. I think this way you can see how it's not like clumpy at all. I mean, you can layer this more and more and make it more like intense. But for me, I like my eyelash not clumpy, like very separated and just enhanced like this. And this is their cream blush. And actually their cream blush is not my favorite formula because a lot of shades are very, very silicone-y and I really don't like a silicone blush. And this is a silicone based shade. But this shade has a sheen to it, as you can see. So I just want to try it because I want pearly type of finish with this line. So I'm just gonna try to use my puff because I find when I was using a brush with this type of silicone formula, it often messes with the foundation underneath. So just try to see, does the puff work better? Oh, I guess it does. I think you can tell there's this glow to it. My foundation looks fine. Normally I don't go with this type of shade, but I find with Asian brands, they can do this type of shade that shows well on olive skin, because with Western blushes, this type of shade usually washes me out. Like my complexion looks dirty after using a lot of this type of shade of blush from a Western brand. But yeah, with Asian brand, they are usually fine. I actually really like this. It's like, it doesn't really look that much, but the glow is pretty natural and it makes my cheek look like fuller. This is actually the type of effect that I want. I was picturing when I was buying this. So I guess using a puff is a nice move. And I want to top it off with this powder blush. Glow Fleur Cheeks, the blend type, and the shade is B02. And I think this is just a renewed of their old formula, because I think the OG Canmake blush was this type of like flowers with different shades blended together with some matte and some shimmer shades. So I guess it's probably just a like revamp, I don't know. And actually their little brush are pretty nice, but today we're gonna use my own brush because I want to apply this more sheerly. I'm just gonna blend it all and pat on the back of my hand. I think this is even more cool toned than the cream blush, and it's more of like a satiny type of finish. I guess because there's only 1 or 2 shades has some type of sheen, like the rest 3 shades are all matte, so it's like less glowy than the cream blush. I really like the shade. It's very hard to make this type of shade not look like bruise on my olive skin tone, but yeah, again, I think Asian makeup does that right, because Asian people, a lot of us have olive skin tone, so I guess they just know how to work with our skin. Can finally bring you back, not that close. Let's do lips. This lip mask has been marinating on my lips for like almost an hour, and I think it's very moisturizing. When I applied it, it felt a little bit heavy, but I guess as it melted by the natural body temperature on my lips, it becomes this like almost lip oil type of texture. So it's not very heavy at all right now. It's actually pretty lightweight, and I got 2 products. I think this one is their new product. It's their glass tint syrup. And this is their Muchi Puru tint. Muchi Puru tint in Japanese. And this is the shade 05, and the tint, well, the other tint is the shade 01. I think these are both pinky toned because I was wanting to get a full pinky makeup look. So let's put this tint first. I actually already used this. It's like a pretty standard, almost like a watery type of gel tint. It's very comfortable. That's the shade. The shade is actually pretty cute. This one on top. Another one of those, the ones that you can turn it back. I think this is more reddish than the tint we used first. probably a little bit too reddish than my liking. I think I want to just use the first shade. And let me line my lips a little bit. Let's do a round up of everything we have tried today. Actually, I liked the majority of that. There isn't a single product that I hated. First of all, this concealer. I can't say this is the best concealer I have ever used. Finish and the effect is not like out of ordinary or anything, but it's a nice creamy concealer and you can blend these different shades for your preference. So I really like this. I'm glad that I have this right now and I can maybe use this to color correct or something. And the powder is actually very, very great. This powder, I think it was, at least was a viral powder when it first launched, because this is the same concept as another super expensive powder from another luxury Japanese brand. It's called Elegance, I think. And that powder is like more than $100. I think this is under $10. This is like much cheaper. I actually once in the past had that very expensive powder, and as well as I can remember, it's like pretty blurry in memory, but I feel like it's pretty similar. It's like a very thin powder and it's like pretty mattifying and smoothing. I think it's similar. I don't remember this to be as like finely milled as that one. That one is like so thin. You barely can see it on your skin. It's just like make it blurred and mattified without adding any texture. And this one is similar, but again, I don't exactly remember is this the same level. Probably not, but it's good enough. It's very good, especially considering the price. Even if you don't consider the price, I still think this is a great powder. I just never understood this concept of, you know, different colors other than it's fun to look at. But yeah, the powder, at least the powder is good. And the eyebrow powder, still need to use it more to understand it better. But it wasn't bad. It's like a typical good eyebrow powder. Eyeshadows, liked both of them. This one the same or at least similar formula as the other palette that I love, so I'm happy now I have more shades of that. And this palette, so good to use to draw your eye bag. And the shimmer shades and the glittery shades are all pretty nice, even on the top of your eyelids. Really like it. And this little concealer pen is actually so good for drawing this, emphasizing your eye bag. And yeah, I'm glad that I have the right tool to do this right now. The other eye stuff's all good. I have all used these up in the past, so I don't think I need to say much. But yeah, these are very creamy, a lot of fun and easy to use colors. And this one, like a very natural kind of eyelash effect that I love, and it doesn't really smudge that much on my extremely oily eyelids. Every mascara smudge, but this one doesn't really. Lip mask, great lip mask. I'm glad that I bought this. I think this is gonna be my next before the bed lip mask. Blushes, this blush surprisingly good. Really like, especially the shade. It's like such a natural type of shade and gives you this natural sheen that makes your cheek look like fuller. And this one I need to use it more to judge, but the formula isn't bad. It's like pretty smoothing on the skin. The lips, I actually like the color of this tint, but this one I have to use it more because for today's look it's like a little bit too red. But I think the formula, both of the formula, pretty nice. And I think that's all. It's a pretty successful try on, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.